Men are becoming experts at avoiding discomfort. Whether it's in the body, skipping workouts, the mind, procrastinating, or emotions, avoiding difficult conversations, there's a constant numbing going on, an escape from anything that hurts. But that escape comes with a cost. Every pain you avoid today gets passed on to your future. The frustration of not being respected, of failing to stick to a routine, of not recognizing yourself in the mirror, these all come from the lack of intentional discomfort in your present. According to self-determination theory, human beings thrive when their actions feel meaningful, self-directed, and challenging. Constantly running from pain weakens that sense of self-control. You become passive, childlike, reactive, the opposite of a man with value. Self-imposed pain, like discipline, sacrifice, and saying no, restores your inner power. Comfort is the real poison. It's not pain that drains your strength, it's comfort. The generation with the most access to emotional, physical, and digital comfort is also the most anxious, insecure, and depressed. Pain doesn't destroy you. It reveals the parts of you that still need to be born. So choose voluntary discomfort every day. Wake up early, take a cold shower, train when you don't feel like it. Say no to instant gratification. That's what rebuilds you from the inside out. It's not about quick results. It's about earning back your self-respect. Men who respect themselves don't run from pain. They turn it into power. Think of a man who never takes his body to the gym. He slowly gets weaker without even noticing. Now imagine your mind as a muscle. Every pain you avoid is a rep you didn't do. When life demands emotional strength, he won't be ready because he never trained. Pain is the training. Life is the test. Without even realizing it, many men are trapped in a chemical cycle of self-destruction. They think they're just relaxing when they spend hours watching videos, consuming pornography, overeating, or jumping from one pleasure to the next. But what's really happening is a breakdown in the brain's reward system. It no longer knows what actually matters. The result? Loss of ambition, lack of discipline, a fractured sense of identity. Dopamine is the neurotransmitter for motivation, not pleasure. When you constantly chase quick dopamine hits, like porn, social media, or junk food, you wear out your brain's dopamine receptors. This leads to anhedonia, the inability to feel joy from things that require effort, like studying, working out, or doing deep work. In other words, you train your brain to love comfort and reject growth. That turns you into a slave to cheap stimulation. Most people think they need more motivation, but the real problem is too much dopamine without real effort. A brain addicted to instant pleasure doesn't want goals. It wants stimulation. You're not unmotivated, you're overstimulated. Start a dopamine detox. 7 days without porn, without mindless videos, without junk food, and with social media only for what's necessary. In the first few days, you'll feel anxious, bored, maybe even irritated. That's withdrawal. But by the end of the week, your brain starts to reset. You begin to enjoy simple things again. You regain focus, you reconnect with long-term effort, and most important, you regain self-respect. Picture a lion in a zoo. It gets fed every day, doesn't need to hunt, doesn't need to fight, doesn't need to survive. Little by little, it loses its instinct. If you release it into the wild, it dies. Now think about your brain. It was built to chase goals, handle pressure, and overcome challenges. But you're feeding it like a zoo lion, and it's slowly killing your spirit. There's a quiet, corrosive feeling that many men carry. I'm not valued. They feel invisible, disrespected, overlooked, at work, in relationships, in life. But what most don't realize is that they're trying to be valued without first creating real value. There's a disconnect between what they want and what they're actually willing to give. Psychologist Carl Jung said that personal value comes from facing your own shadow, meaning the parts of yourself you avoid. Value isn't found, it's built, and building it requires sacrifice. What gives gold its worth is its rarity. What gives a man his worth is how much he's willing to sacrifice to become who he is. You're not valuable because of what you feel or wish for. You're valuable because of what you carry in silence, because of what you endure when no one is watching, because of what you're willing to give up in order to live with truth. Dreams don't impress anyone. Sustained sacrifice does. Choose one habit or project that challenges you and commit to it for 30 days without skipping a single one. No, I'm not in the mood. No bad day excuses. Every day, write down what you had to sacrifice to keep going. At the end of the month, you'll see what you gained wasn't just a new habit, it was a new sense of worth. A man's value is measured by the pain he turns into purpose. Picture a sword, raw, unshaped metal. Now think of what it has to go through to become sharp. Fire, hammer, pressure. Men who want to be sharp without going through the fire of frustration, consistency, and discipline remain nothing more than raw metal, waiting for something that will never come. The fire doesn't destroy you, it shapes you. Many men are in pain, but they don't know why. It's a vague kind of suffering. No name, no purpose. They suffer because they don't have a purpose, but they also suffer when trying to build one. Every step towards something meaningful seems to demand a kind of pain they don't know how to handle, and that leads to paralysis. Everything hurts, so nothing moves forward. Nietzsche once said, "He who has a why can bear almost any how." Suffering without direction is torture. Suffering with direction is transformation. The key is to give your pain meaning. That's the mindset that turns suffering into a path. Pain doesn't need to be avoided, it needs to be addressed. A man who understands the function of pain starts using it as a compass. You don't need less pain, you need pain with purpose. Trying to eliminate all discomfort is what keeps you weak. Strength comes from turning every pain into part of a map. Ask yourself regularly, where is this pain taking me? If the answer is to a better place, keep going. Create a weekly ritual. Write down the main pains or frustrations you faced that week. Then, connect each one to a bigger goal. Example, I was rejected. Strengthens your goal of building confidence and presence. I broke my diet. Reinforces your commitment to self-discipline and self-control. Pain that's mapped becomes direction. Pain that's ignored becomes sabotage. Picture yourself in the middle of the ocean during a storm. You can panic, or you can use the wind to adjust your sails. Pain is the wind. If you don't have direction, it will throw you anywhere. But if you know where you're going, it can move you faster. Pain with direction speeds up the journey. The quiet feeling of failure is one of the most common pains among young men. The sense that life is moving forward and you're being left behind. Addiction to instant pleasure. Emotional instability, lack of direction, all of it chips away at your dignity. But the worst part isn't falling. It's starting to believe that you are the failure. Juan, a fictional name, 24 years old, addicted to porn since he was 12, spent 6 hours a day gaming, never had a healthy relationship, insecure, frustrated, hiding his shame behind sarcasm and cynicism. One day, after a tough conversation with his father, who said, "You've become someone I don't recognize," Juan made a decision. 180 days without porn, no games, no addictions. It hurt. He cried alone many nights. But every day he endured the pain without running back to pleasure. Something in him began to heal. He didn't become a millionaire. He didn't have some dramatic life transformation, but he earned back his self-respect. He passed a civil service exam, started training, started looking people in the eye again. And months later, his father said, "Now I'm proud of the man you're becoming." Sometimes, the greatest miracle isn't changing the world. It's learning to respect the man in the mirror again. Write your own letter, breaking up with empty pleasure. List everything that's making you weaker. Declare a 90-day cycle of intentional pain on paper. Use pain as your rebirth. With each day you endure, you rebuild a piece of your identity. Start small, but stay committed. Your dignity lives on the other side of sustained pain. Imagine an abandoned building, cracked walls, overgrown weeds, trash everywhere, but the structure is still solid. Someone decides to restore it. It's not easy. Breaking, clearing, rebuilding. It takes time, but when the work is done, that building is no longer a symbol of neglect. It's a symbol of rebirth. That's what happens when a man chooses to rebuild his life through conscious pain. We live in a time where male suffering has been invalidated. Men are taught to silence their pain, laugh it off, or bury it in addictions. The result? A generation of men who bleed on the inside but smile on the outside. Men who believe that suffering is a sign of weakness, when in reality, it's a vital part of becoming a mature man. In almost every ancient culture, there were rites of passage, trials of pain, silence, solitude, and symbolic death. These rituals turned boys into men. Today, without that ritualized pain, men are thrown into the world without an internal structure. The pain still exists, but now it's random, lonely, and without meaning. That doesn't build men. It creates emotional zombies. The problem isn't that men suffer too much. It's that they suffer without being initiated. No guidance, no transformation. That's why suffering turns into trauma instead of maturity. But when pain is faced with awareness, purpose, and structure, it stops being destructive and becomes a kind of birth. Choose to face one deep pain with your full presence. It might be grief, a breakup, a career failure, or the shame of not being who you hope to be. Sit with that pain, write about it, meditate on it. Don't run, don't numb it. This is your initiation, your journey through the fire. If you go through it fully, you won't come out the same. You'll come out a man. Every hero has to enter the cave. Luke faced Darth Vader. Neo confronted the Matrix. Simba had to face his guilt over his father's death. You have your cave, too, and it always hurts. But it's there, and only there, that you'll find the part of yourself that's been missing. Without that pain, you never truly come alive. Without the cave, there is no king.